large, glowing, ominous eyes deep in the jungles of Java. As today we talk about
The Mothman.
and how Loui here actually saw the damn thing when we were travelling in Kawaijen. Tonight on Paranormal TV, we're discussing our experience with the Mothman in the jungles of Java on the active volcano Salamat, and that's just the thanks. It's Kawaijen. He's a
Kawaijen.
That's the place where we went. So this is Paranormal TV. We talk about strange, weird UFOs, ghosts, paranormal, cryptozoooligy, ancient artifacts, missing persons, murders, witchcraft, and sorcery, and all things weird. And the previous videos have been just Louis and myself sharing our own paranormal experiences of haunted houses and ghosts and other weird stuff. And this one's a fantastic story that I'm glad you've tuned in to listen to. So if you like this kind of stuff, please don't forget to like and subscribe. You wanted to say something? No? And share the shit out of this video, because we just basically tell it in story format, and great to listen to. So, over to you, Loui.
Okay, so on one of our many trips to Bali, we had become acquainted with a friend over there named Harry, who was deciding at the time that he wanted to start up a tourism business, and he was desperate to show us his home island of Java, which we'd never seen before. He wanted to take us on this tour up an active volcano called Kawaijen. Now, not knowing what to expect on this trek that we were going on, we rose early in the morning, or as early as we would possibly rise on a holiday, I guess.
And it was supposed to be an 8-hour trip up, round trip of 8 hours, but it sort of turned out a bit longer than that.
Yeah, for reasons unexpected, there was a large rainfall the day before we went. So on the way to Kawaijen at this point in time, there was no roads. It was basically the runoff off the water coming down the hill that created a road. So the only way up was a road full of boulders at this point in time, big rocks, massive rocks. And the four of us went trekking up this mountain, just on two bikes at the time. I was with Harry, who had a dirt bike, and Guy was with Daddy, who had a race bike. It was a super fast new bike that he had, that he just really liked to go fast on. So
just before you get into the scary bit, we should probably tell them what the Mothman is and a bit more about Kawaijen.
Okay, I was going to leave that till the end to explain it. But
No, you got to leave the scary bit to the end so they watch it all.
Okay, so back history on the Mothman. If you haven't heard of the Mothman, it was something that started to appear around, I think it was November the 15th in 1966 was the first reported sightings of, well, what we know now as the Mothman. Back then, people were reporting it was a large man with a wingspan of 10 feet long, or
an ominous creature,
or a large man with bright red glowing eyes, or and this.
So hang on, no. The story was there was a couple of teenagers, or young. They call them young couple on the wiki page. You can have a look. But there was 4 people. We're making out in the car in this old munitions plant. They called it the TNT area. It was basically the place where you go with your girlfriend in the car and make out. And this large grey creature, whose eyes glowed red, as it was described, when the headlights of the car were shone on it, they saw a figure, turned the headlights on, and saw this ominous thing, like a flying man with 10-foot wings. And it followed their car while they were in the area. The story goes that it actually chased the car. It flew after the car. So it kind of, I'm getting hairs on my arm standing up, like imagining it's nighttime, you're in a car, and there's this 10-foot wingspan flying creature with glowing eyes chasing you down the road, and you're probably shitting bricks. But it was over the next few days, other people started to see this thing show up.
I do actually believe it started, was over a span of weeks. This thing would start to appear to people.
In Point Pleasant, yeah.
Yeah, in a place called Point Pleasant.
So that's a picture of what people described it to look like, from the wiki page. I've got to give a credit to for the wiki, copyright free stuff. So yeah, there was also the county sheriff had commented that he believed the sightings were due to a large heron that he termed a shit poke.
I'm sure that's pronounced differently, but it's how it's spelt.
Shit poke, shitty poke, shite poke. That's what it is.
Yeah.
And then when he aimed his torch at this beastie, the eyes glowed like bicycle reflectors. And there were strange buzzing noises from a TV set, and then the dog, the German Shepherd, ran off, chasing it.
So, in conclusion to the story, if you don't know the whole history of the Mothman, basically what people have come to the conclusion of is that this being, entity, whatever you want to call it, does appear before a major disaster happens. So for Point Pleasant, one of the bridges there was unstable, and that the Mothman started appearing just before this bridge went down and killed, I think it was 90 people or something like that, over 90 people. So
it's been written about and talked about, and there was a film made on it, which is a really good watch. Let's try and get that on in screen. That's the Mothman Prophecies with Richard Gere. You should seriously check that out.
It is probably one of the scarier movies that you will see, because you do know that it is based on a true story. So yeah, anytime a disaster is about to happen, allegedly this Mothman, or the large grey creature with 10-foot wingspan and bright red eyes, starts to appear. So, going back to what we saw on this mountain. So,
Kawaijen. What's Kawaijen?
Kawaijen is an active volcano.
Yeah, and
which we did describe earlier.
There's miners there that retrieve sulfur from the hot pool, and then they use sulfur to make sugar, of all things.
It turns sugar white.
Yeah, white sugar is really bad for you. It's got probably too much sulfur in it, and the gases that come off the lake bed, they burn blue, so they call it the blue flame. There
is a what you call a lake, or a pond, I guess you would say, in the middle of the volcano, which is full of acid. The water in the volcano is actually more potent than the lava that comes out of the volcano, so you wouldn't want to get hit with any of the water coming out. So we encountered a lot of these workers on the way up, but as I said, just before we got to this section where the workers are, we were going up this makeshift road that wasn't even a road. It was just massive boulders, big rocks. A lot of the times we'd be getting off the bike and pushing them up, motorbikes, and pushing them up the hill, because it was just so steep and unsteady terrain.
It was, yeah, it kind of started off as a bit of a tourist road, and just winding through the road was okay. It's like, oh, why don't we use a Jeep or a car or something, get it? And they said, you'll find out why. And then the road just turns to shit. There's massive boulders and
there's holes everywhere.
Crap everywhere.
It's just, there's trees across it.
And it goes into jungle at that stage. There's like big palm trees and very thick jungle?
So this is the lake that is so acidic that the actual acidity level of the lake is more potent than the lava that comes out of the volcano. So when that volcano does actually explode, the acid lake in the middle of it will cause more damage than the lava coming out of it. So anyway, we make this trek up and we get to the top. We had about 5 minutes to view this lake at the top before the smoke became so overbearing and overpowerful. If you've never ever inhaled smoke from a volcano, I can guarantee you it will make you taste like you've been in a massive orgy with Satan and all of his buddies, and
the demonic bukkake party.
The demonic bukkake party, let's put it that way. It's the most horrible taste that you'll ever have in your mouth.
It really took my breath away. I remember that. So that's me, and Harry's on the right, and DeDe
is on the left.
He's his driver, his mate, and there's Loui.
So we make this trek up. It's steep, it's slippery, it is so hard to get up, and I will admit, and I'm proud to admit, out of the 4 of us, I was the only one that didn't fall over. Yay for me. So we get up there. By the time we get up there, we don't have much time. As I said, the smoke started to come over. We were choking to death on the sulfur smoke. So we decided to head back down. It was starting to get dark, and we didn't really want to go down this path or this unmade road on the motorbikes in the dark, because it was so treacherous to get down the hill. So Harry and I set off on our bike. Daddy and Guy were a little bit behind us. And I would say we got to about halfway to 3/4 down this hill, stopping, getting off bikes, starting again, doing, all that. It was quite a long journey. So at one point, I felt that we were getting closer to civilization again. And at one point, I corner of my eye, what I would term a street light over there. But at closer inspection, I've taken my eyes off the road and I looked up into the trees to, confirm that it was actually a light, to only discover that it wasn't a light. It was, I guess you would say, it looked like eyes. It was like the whites of eyes, and then in between those whites of eyes was these glowing, bright red eyes. And all I had was an ominous feeling going, I need to get the fuck out of here. I didn't feel I was welcome in this particular place. I didn't say anything at the time, but I just, goosebumps had started up my arms, and I'd sort of started to go into a slight little panic because I just felt so uncomfortable and so threatened by being where I was. Like a feeling of, you need to get out, like you're not welcome here, get out.
I remember the part where you pulled up.
Yeah, and I do remember, like, Harry stopped the bike, all of it. He started slowing down, and I'm thinking we're just getting to another boulder and I'm going to have to get off or something. So he slows the bike down and he turns to me and he goes, did you just see that? And I said, the thing in the trees? And he went, yes. He goes, did you see it? And he goes, and I said, yeah, Harry, I saw it. And he goes, what was it? And I had no explanation for him. I'm trying to rack my brain to go, is it anything that I've ever seen before in my life? Is it something that I could, put a name to? And he says to me, he goes, what do I do? And all I said to him was, Harry, you need to get the fuck out of here now. Like, go. And all I remember from there on is racking my brain to try and figure out what I'd seen. And there was no caution of Harry and I going down that hill anymore. We didn't care about the boulders. We didn't care about whatever was in front of us in the road. We didn't care. We took off at high speed and did not stop until we got down to civilization.
I remember you didn't say anything. Like,
no,
we all stopped.
And you guys were behind us, and Harry and I were just having this little intimate conversation, like trying to figure out what we'd seen.
You were a little bit further ahead, and I remember stopping. I think I took a leak in the jungle. And there was boulders all over the road. And I remember I was on the back of DeDe's bike, and I remember looking up, and I did say to you, look up at the fireflies, because I'd never seen fireflies being in Australia. We don't have them here.
We don't have them, yeah.
And you look up and you think, oh, I'm seeing stars, and then there's all these little lights in the trees. I said, oh my God, they're fireflies.
Yeah, the blinking.
And I thought that was so cool. And then I think that's when I went to take a leak, and you guys...
I honestly don't remember what you were doing.
You went towards the bike, and I think I was just kind of doing my zip up, and you were gone. It's like you didn't say anything. You were like,
it wouldn't have been that time because I know that we were still riding the bike when Harry saw it and he stopped.
I just remember saying to Daddy, they've gone. They're gone. Yeah. They didn't know hanging around. I didn't know why. He just like went.
Yeah, but I do remember, it wouldn't have been that because I do remember Harry was still driving at the time and he stopped and he said to me, did you see that? Like we didn't talk to you at all at this point in time. So I guess from there on, like we hightailed it. We left them for dust. We took off and just left them. Like I couldn't even explain to Guy at this point in time what it was, what I was feeling. I'd broken out into like a sweat. I was that terrified.
And I never seen a black man turn white.
Yeah, yeah. And I will say, Harry, when we got down to the bottom of the hill and back to civilization, we had actually, before we went up the hill, we'd left some stuff at the bottom of the hill at a friend's house, things like our helmets and things like that. Don't tell anyone we didn't wear a helmet, but we couldn't see with these helmets on. So we'd left a lot of stuff down there and we just thought we'd stop there and get ourselves together and wait for Guy and Daddy to show up. So while we're there, I'm talking to Harry and he said to me, he goes, what was it? And I said, Harry, look, I don't know what it was. I said, have you
he looked pretty freaked out when we...
Yeah, he was pale, he was shaken. And I said to him, did you get a feeling while you were there? And he said to me, he goes, yes. He said, I felt like I shouldn't be here, that I wasn't welcome, that I needed to get out. And I said to him, I said, that's the exact same feeling I had. I've got goosebumps still talking about this. Like, it's one of the most terrifying things I've ever experienced in my life, to have that absolute feeling of not being welcome somewhere by a strange entity that you've got no idea. Because once we saw it in the trees, it basically disappeared. It was there, and then Harry stopped, and then it disappeared. So we don't know where this thing was. We don't know what its intentions were. But all we had was this feeling that you need to get out, you're not welcome.
So I just wanted to clarify. You saw red and yellow...
Yeah, it was like where you see the whites of an eye, but where your like pupils and that are, it was all bright red. It was just... But it was glowing enough for me to see it up in the trees. Like, I literally thought that it was a street light, because all I saw was the white first, and then I looked up and I saw the red... like the red glowy things in this white eye looking things, like the circle-y type things. It's the hardest thing to sort of describe.
Did you see the outline of a figure?
No, I didn't see all I saw were the eyes. But from seeing things like the Mothman and those types of things, that was my first impression, was I'd seen the Mothman. That was what I'd come to the conclusion on from when Harry and I had seen it to the point where we got down to the hill, because I knew Guy was going to ask me what happened. So
I remember then, after then, we went to a bar to have a drink and calm down.
Oh yeah, I'm getting to that.
They had internet, and then you told me it was
by this time,
Google Mothman.
Well, Harry and I were talking at the bottom of the hill at this point.
Okay.
So then you guys show up and you said to us, what the hell happened? Like, why did you take off so fast? And I remember turning to you going, didn't you see that? And you were like, did I see what? And I said, didn't you see that thing that was in the trees, like, where we took off? Yeah. And you were like, no, I didn't see anything. And you were like, what was it? And I was like, I don't know. And I said to him, the only thing that I could possibly describe it as would be the Mothman. That was my only conclusion that I could come to. There was nothing else and to this day, I still can't think of anything that makes me think that it was anything else but the Mothman. Now, so we get our wits together, we gather ourselves up, and we go back to our hotel where we're staying in Java, and they had, as you say, internet there. So I've pulled up the internet browser, and I'm looking through pictures of the Mothman. Now, at this point in time, to see what I'd seen, I'd skimmed through 4 pages of the search engine to find the exact thing that I'd seen in these
Mothman images.
Yeah. So I was looking through Mothman images, and I'd scanned through 4 pages on the search engine. And Harry was sitting on the other side of the laptop, so he couldn't see what I was doing. With Daddy, and Guy was sitting on my side. So I've gone through 4 pages, and I've pointed to Guy, and I said, exactly, that's what I saw. That's the exact thing that I saw. So we went back to page 1 of the search engine, and I said to Harry, just skim through it and see what you think that you saw. If this is anything on here looks like what you saw. So Harry starts skimming through all the pages, and he ends up on page 4, and he picks exactly the same photo that I just showed Guy. And I'm still sitting in my seat, and I've turned the laptop around. I can't see what he's seeing. Guy's there looking at him to see what he's seeing. So neither of us could corroborate what we'd seen. It was just a test to see whether we'd both seen the same thing. And literally out of 4 pages of pictures, we both picked the same one and went, that's exactly what I saw. And if you Google images of the Mothman, you'll notice that none of them are the same.
Similar,
but nothing the same.
But not the same. And I'd like to add that in the movie that's about the Point Pleasant appearance, and the Mothman had appeared in other things, it always seems to be associated with disaster. And like in the movie, the creature is like, there's weird phone calls and it's talking to people, and I don't know how true that was. Maybe that's a dramatization, but whenever this thing is seen, and there's a sculpture actually in Point Pleasant, because the town is famous for it, and people just go to the town to talk about Mothman stories. But yeah, in saying that, there was an event that happened after.
Yeah, I was just getting to that.
Yeah.
So after we'd been through all this, in between, we were actually at home when the event happened that involved the Mothman. But a week later, we'd flown back to Australia. We were at home, and then we'd actually heard that one of the volcanoes where we were had erupted violently and caused quite a few deaths.
It wasn't the volcano that we climbed.
No, Ijen is still there. It's still active, and apparently it's all touristy now. They've paved the roads, and it's all tarred and all the rest of it. So we were the guinea pigs for the trek, I guess you would say. There'd been few people before us. When we got there, you weren't allowed to go down into the volcano because apparently a few people had tried and actually fallen to their deaths. So we weren't allowed to go down into the volcano. That was
haunted as well.
A no-no. But we did encounter quite a few of the workers that were coming up from it and things like that. This is some of the things you saw. The yellow stuff is actually sulfur that they collect. They do make statues out of it, as you can see, Hello Kitty statues and things like that. And they sell them. But yeah, so unfortunately you can't go. I think they've changed that rule again now, so you can actually go down into the volcano if that's something that you want to do. But I would suggest, at this point in time, taking a face mask. But trust me, it will be your saviour when you go to any active volcano. This is bushland through the walk on the trek up to the volcano.
Yeah, it's quite dense, isn't it?
It's very dense. The road was horrendous trying to get up. If you can see this next image that Guy's going to put up here.
It's like gravel. It's like trying to walk on marbles.
That's how steep the actual hill was to walk up it.
A lot of it was like that.
And it's very, very fine, gritty, loose, like rocks. So very, very slippery. There's another photo that actually shows how steep it was. Even in the photos, you can't tell like the steepness, but it was a 22k round trip, all in all. And as you could see, the first picture that Guy put up was of how high it was above sea level, which I think was 2,300 and something meters above sea level. So yeah, it was quite a trek. There are a lot of volcanoes around Java, so it's always a hot spot, but just after this specific incident, I just think that that was a pre-warning to us that there was a volcano about to go off and that there were people that were going to be in peril. Unfortunately, I didn't really notify anyone of the sighting. I guess I didn't really know what to make of it, so maybe something could have been done, but I guess who's going to listen to one person that saw a little creepy thing in the forest?
Well, there was two of yous technically, but...
Yeah, but we can't define whether it was actually the Mothman or not.
I just really wish I had seen it.
I wish I hadn't.
Yeah.
But on another note, just a quick one with Java. As soon as the next day after we did the Mothman and everything, we were taken out to a little place in the middle of bumfuck nowhere in Java.
No, that's another. We'll leave that for another. No, the shaman.
Yeah.
We'll talk about the shaman because it's quite a long story. Though. Yeah, but it was the same time. Maybe we can do that. The next video is to talk about the visitation to the shaman of Java in the middle of a melon patch between bumfuck and You Got a Pretty Mouth.
Yeah, with chickens going through the house and everything.
Yeah, we'll save that for the next video.
Alright, well that will be the next one. But yes, so that was my experience with the Mothman. If any of you have ever had an experience similar to it or something along the lines of the Mothman, we'd love to hear from you in the comments below. If you like the story, like and subscribe, and share the shit out of the video. And if you like Piggy Tales and Poltergeists, come back.
Yeah, I'm starting to think, that we're probably I don't know about paranormal groups and that, but just looking back through our life, and we've got plenty of stories, we probably had the weirdest shit happen to us. Not so much lately.
I've had some pretty creepy shit happen in my life.
Yeah, we're only getting started.
Yeah.
But anyway.
Anyway.
It's great to see you again. Share the video and see you next time.
See ya.